Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of John Wooden's Playbook for Life and Leadership. I'm Maria Kutcher, your host here today. I'm Division Sales Manager with UBS Financial Services. And today's block, we are on the 7th block now on this pyramid of success, and this is alertness. And we're so excited for this particular block. It's filled with lots of great takeaways and practices for us to implement in our everyday lives, both professionally and personally. So before we get started, I would like to introduce Coach Craig Impleman, who will be teaching us all about Wooden's approach and why he selected alertness in the pyramid of success. And for those of you that are new and have not gotten the background on Coach Craig Impleman, he was a basketball coach for 13 years, including 6 years at UCLA. And he is also a family member, actually John Wooden's grandson-in-law. And for 35 years, Coach Impleman has had the honor of being personally mentored by John Wooden himself. He delivers custom wisdom success workshops to Fortune 500 companies. And also he's a co-developer of the John R. Wooden course, and also writes for Success Magazine, which distributes his content weekly in their Wooden Effect program. And with that, I'm going to turn the mic over to Coach Craig, or Coach Imp.
Thank you, Maria. Welcome to the Playbook for Life and Leadership. We've been working on the pyramid of success sequentially. We've got the foundation down. Last month, we worked on self-control. Today, we go to alertness, which controls how much you can improve. 3 key elements: be observing constantly, stay open-minded, and be eager to learn and improve. Coach Wooden, get us going.
Then we have alertness. There's something going around about us all the time from which we can learn if we'll just be observant and see the things and not get lost in our own narrow tunnel vision, in our own egos, which we all have and should have, but we should keep them under control. We must be alert. Mr. Lincoln, my favorite American, said he never met a person from whom he did not learn something. Most of the time it was something not to do, he said, but that's still learning. But if we're not observant, we won't see those things. You know, Mr. Lincoln, well, what a person, what a person. He said, the best thing a father can do for his children is to love their mother. He said, the worst thing you can do for those you love are the things they could and should do for themselves. He said, most anyone can stand adversity, but to test a person's character, put them in power. So many wonderful things, this kind and gentle person. He said, there's nothing stronger than gentleness. And so there's a lot of truth in that, a lot of truth in that.
Wow, Coach, I love the quote, you can learn something from every person that you meet, right? And that's the openness of observing behavior that we need to do, I think, more of, which I need to do more of as well. And that's really the essence of alertness. It's really removing our blinders of our own personal views and being open enough to let others chime in with their perspective in a non-judging way. So great opening, Coach. Back to you.
Thank you, Maria. I think that perspective you brought about taking the blinders off is just great. The pyramid of success, the foundation that we covered, gives us the attitude, the preparation, the focus on process for great performance. And it also teaches us how to work well with others. Last month, we focused on self-control, which gives us the self-discipline and the emotional balance to be at our absolute peak. Now we go to the block that's going to determine our ceiling. It is alertness that is needed to improve. Got my music going there for the first time, always trying something new. Alertness is cool. K, knowledge. You get knowledge by the first thing, observe constantly. 2, stay open-minded. 3, learn always. You want to be cool? Be knowledgeable, observing, open-minded, in learning. Now that's cool. Coach Wooden felt his ability to be alert and observe was a real key to his success. Let's hear him talk about that.
Can you tell me about some of the things that you feel were responsible for your great success?
Thank you, Bob. There are many things, that enter into the success of anyone in any endeavor, and there's too many to try to single out certain ones. I'm reminded so often of the words of Abraham Lincoln, who was my favorite American, and he once made the statement that he never met a person from whom he did not learn something. And then with his great sense of humor, he said, oftentimes, of course, that's something not to do. We learn from those around us. We learn from our experiences. And if we're not doing that, we're not going to pick up the things that are going to enable us to make the most of whatever abilities we have.
I love that, Coach. Most importantly, I love the comment about learning from others on what not to do, right? So sometimes you're in a conversation, you walk away and you really feel it, there really wasn't anything that you did learn from that conversation. But if you stop and think about it, there is always a takeaway to help make you better and a better person. So really love that he focuses in on that. Back to you, Coach.
Thanks, Maria. And I think you pointed out as well that constant learning all the time, no matter where you are. Could be in a supermarket, could be in a board meeting. If you want to have a great team, you want to be John Wooden, win 10 national championships, run a great business, there's 3 areas you got to be great at. The first is technical knowledge. Let's hear how John Wooden started studying the sport of basketball.
We're all different, and we approach things in different ways. Certain things. I wanted to be a good teacher. When I was teaching English, which I did always until I came to UC, I wanted to be a good English teacher, and I'd read and about others that I had thought, and I'd think back of teachers that I had that I thought were very good, and I tried to determine why they were good. Maybe they all have the equal amount of knowledge about the particular subject, but some in the presentation of it makes you want to come back, and there are others that might be very knowledgeable. You just sort of know and enjoy going back there the next day once you have to. So I tried to study those things. Like when I knew I was going to become a teacher after my freshman year at college, I took notes from opposing coaches that we'd play. I tried to get to talk to opposing coach when we would play some and ask them. I made a notebook, and I had a pretty good notebook after I got out of college of teaching the sport of basketball. If I made a mistake at a coaching clinic where I was speaking one time, I loaned it to somebody else and didn't get it back.
So Coach Wooden, while he's a 3-time All-American at Purdue, the College Player of the Year, after the games, he's picking the brain of the opposing coaches about what they did, why they did it, and he's starting his own notebook on technical information on how to be a coach. The journey gets even deeper when he gets to Indiana State. Coach Wooden.
So at Indiana State, was that the first time that you just had basketball? Well, you also taught, though. You taught a few classes, right?
Yes, and baseball. I had baseball coach, too.
But were you able to give basketball the time that it needed?
More time than I've been able to before. Probably.
Okay. And is that when you started your kind of a modular study? You took one area of the game each off season?
That's right.
And that has to do with getting deeper knowledge of what you're doing. How did you go about that? How did you choose a subject to study, and then how did you go about doing that?
Well, let's say it might be, just to get one example, let's say it might be free throw shooting. Well, I'd know teams and coaches, both high school and college, that their teams did exceptionally well on that. So I would write to them and ask them, and if those that had books out, I'd get their books and read the books. And then I'd talk to individual players that were excelled in that particular thing and put notes on that. And then eventually I'm going to tell them with one composite of all those. And if someone that was having exceptional success and did something that no one else seems to be doing, I want to know why. That others weren't doing it. It's so good. And then I contact that one individual personally to see about the object. I think of maybe an example. when Louis Alcindor chose to come to UCLA, immediately when he used to come, I contact Will Chamberlain, I contact Mel Counts, I contact coaches that had unusually tall players to see what they can tell me that can help me teach this youngster to work into a particular system and execute the fundamentals that are going to be necessary for me then to get him to work into our system. So I wanted to try to find out all I could about people that I thought were knowledgeable about working with an unusually big man, which I never had.
The amazing thing is that John Wooden did this for 29 seasons in a row. He'd won 9 national championships. Going to his last season, here he is again doing another research project. He didn't get to a point and stop. This is to me, mind-boggling, but his results are mind-boggling. Let's have Coach talk a little bit more about how he learned from the competition.
Coach, earlier you mentioned about competition, and even to the point of not knowing perhaps who you were really playing in the next game. But you seem to have been aware of competition. Did you try to learn from competition?
Oh, that's where we learn. Absolutely, we must understand the competition against us, what's making them successful, and learn from it. We don't know a thing. We don't learn from somebody else, and we want to learn from those that we think are executing better at whatever they're doing and study them. We must always keep studying. I took a project every summer after basketball season was over. A couple of weeks later, I would start researching a project. I might take 1 year the jump shot. I might take free throw shooting. I might take acting in the zone, and I would contact all the coaches that I knew that I thought excelled in that particular aspect and some of the players. And I would call them and ask them to fill out questionnaires, and then I'd make one composite of all this that I would get from all this, and I thought that would help me, improve my own feeling about things, and I think it did.
Wow, it's just fascinating to just hear, the secret sauce behind his success there, Coach. And what I take away from that, and I think is applicable in our industry, is we could be bookworms all our career, right? We can read and get designations and read and read and read, but Coach did so much more than that. Wooden actually combined, he probably had more conversations with people than the books, right? He was technical, but he didn't just go to books on how do you coach a tall player, right? He went and actually had discussions with other people, and he interviewed them, and he researched, and it was people after people and peers and teammates. And in our industry, we can learn so much from our people that are doing people that are successful in other areas that we're not, right? And in wealth planning, there's so many different areas, and we can't be an expert in everything, right? So if we want to get more exposure and get new clients and market our services on social media, most advisors are, behind the curve on being that expert in social media marketing, but there's some out there that actually crush it, right? Or that really know advanced planning and estate planning and tax planning and all that. And the idea that Coach is saying is get out there and talk to people, do the research in combination with the books as well. But it's all about learning from other people in your lives and in your daily lives and interaction. And don't forget at home either, where you can learn from your kids, you can learn from your spouse, you can learn from your friends. Maybe just downgrade the kids a little bit, but you can learn what not to do, right? From the kids. But the whole point is it's a people business, and we are in the people business. So thanks for sharing that. Back to you, Coach.
Maria, you hit the nail on the head. Coach was always learning from other people constantly. Well, now that you got the technical knowledge, you want to have the 10 championships and 10 games, you're going to have great talent. But great talent's not enough. That grows great talent have to be great people. And how was John Wooden able to get both? great talent, and great people. Let's hear Coach talk about how he did that.
Now, you recruited great players at UCLA, and in our business, selecting for talent is critically important. What did you look for in a potential player?
From a physical point of view, I look for quickness under control. It must be under control. Now, I wanted my players to be tall, of course, but I would give up some size to get more quickness. I didn't expect my centers to be quicker than the forwards or the guards, but I hoped that my forwards would be quicker than other forwards, my guards quicker than other guards, and my center quicker than other centers. Now, I didn't expect all 5 of them to be quicker, but I felt if we could get an advantage of at least 3, we'd have a little bit of advantage. So I'm looking for quickness. That's from a physical point of view. Then equally important, I wanted the type of players I knew that would be considerate of others and would be team players. I wanted to definitely be team players. And from that, I wanted to study their transcripts. I wanted to know what their faith was. I wanted to know whether they were a single child or whether they had siblings. I wanted to know what their parents did. I wanted to know what their extracurricular activities was, and all those things, and I'd get a pretty good mind on what a youngster was from that once I found out, of course, whether if he's going to have the grades to get in.
Wow, Coach, that is a lot of research. That's a lot of digging into kind of what makes a person, and all these little pieces to the puzzle, result in how that person is likely to act and react and fit in. And, it really reminds me, and I guess this is more applicable to branch managers, hiring and recruiting in their branch offices, as well as advisors, teams that maybe you're looking to add another advisor to their team. And it reminds me of a question that our head of America's Jason Chandler mentioned. There was a branch manager who asked Jason a question which firms should we be recruiting from? Should it be Bank of America or Morgan Stanley or Wells Fargo? And Jason's answer was, it's really not the firm that matters. It's the fit of that advisor to the culture of your branch, right? And it really is the same thing that applies to advisors looking for teams. Anyone can really crunch the numbers and there's plenty of financial advisors out there that are doing great jobs. It's the ones that, focus more on those characteristics, on how they're going to interact with your existing team or your existing branch. Honesty, loyalty, kindness, drivers of motivation, and those extracurricular activities also help. But Coach really went down into detail, and if we do the same thing and focus on the character and the personality of that individual, that can really help motivate the entire team and really get the team working together and moving along the same path. So thank you for that.
Maria, great point about the team working together, because aside from the basketball talent, John Wooden wanted to know if that individual could evolve into becoming a team player.
Mm-hmm.
And
absolutely,
if he didn't believe that, he didn't want you, no matter what your individual talent was. Now you got the great talent, you got the great people, you got the technical knowledge. Here's the third thing that you need. You need to have a great ongoing relationship with all the people on your team. You need to know how to communicate best with all of them individually. Let's hear Coach Wooden talk about that.
You seem to have known a lot about your players. You talk about treating them the way they earned and deserved. How did you know so much about each of these individuals?
Well, first of all, I tried to study transcripts of all the youngsters that I would be recruiting. That's one of the things I wanted to do. I wanted to get an analysis, and I had a form that I sent out to 5 other coaches that played against this particular player and find out what they think on a lot of things more than just his basketball ability. I'd want to know what his parents did and various things about him. And I would know more about the youngster than just his basketball ability. And then as time goes by, after you have them there, you learn more about their personalities and how they react to others, both on and off the court, and things of that sort. I mean, you just you have to constantly be analyzing and studying those under your supervision, I think.
And what kind of things did you try to find out? You mentioned not just basketball. What sort of things were you looking for?
I wanted to know about their extracurricular activities. I like to know, like I would tell a person, I don't care what your religion is. I want you to have one. I want you to stand up for it. I want you to believe in it, but I want you to always stay open-minded. Please stay open-minded. I don't care what your politics are, but stay open-minded. We're going to differ in politics, I'm not going to try to sell you on my religion or my political beliefs. Have your own, but we'll be able to stand by, stay open-minded. And I think in talking to them in that matter, I find out a lot about. I would know from the parents' backgrounds and the occupations of them and so on, and whether other children in the family. You'll find little things that might be helpful.
That's really nice. It's knowledge about the people that you're working with in your team, analyzing on an ongoing basis. Why is that important? Because life changes, right? And we need to adapt, and people react differently today versus tomorrow, depending on what life just threw at them. And for him to be so caring about his team and really trying to understand what was going on inside their head, because everything happens, life is filled with ups and downs, and this roller coaster of life that we're on, right? And he was able to really stay on top of his teammates, understanding what was going on inside their head, but most importantly, how to adjust the communication with them. And I think the takeaway here is we need to do the same thing with both our own teammates and people that we interact with, but also our clients, right? Because we do ask clients on almost every client review, has anything changed in your life, right? Any kind of milestones, happy events or not so happy events, right? So, and we're going to get that, over time with every single client. They're going to have great moments. They're going to have some very sad moments in their life. And we need to be there to adjust that communication as in addition to adjusting their wealth plan. So thanks for bringing that up. Really nice to hear Coach doing that as well.
Thanks, Maria. Coach took it a step further. When he was actively coaching at UCLA, he audited psychology classes so that he could become better at working with his players. Let's hear from Coach on that topic.
You seem to know me better than I knew myself, what I was thinking and all that, and I knew you were studying me. But didn't you attend some class at UCLA? I think you did.
Yes, I did.
Some psychology classes while you were coaching?
Yes, I did. Not for credit, just said it. Yeah, so I couldn't be there every day, but I did on some. Yes.
Why did you go? Why did you do that?
Well, I wanted to learn more about it. I think it would help me. I said, a psychiatry class one time too. I got out of there in a hurry though.
What was that?
Oh, I was just kidding on that, but I wasn't comfortable in it at all. I'll say that.
So you learned.
Know then thyself. What is it? Who was it said about Monmouth Gaething? Know then thyself. Presume not God to scan. The proper study of mankind is man.
Wow, I like that. The proper study of mankind is man, and that really plays into our industry and what many of us know as behavioral finance, which is the study of why investors make their decisions, especially around money and the biases that they can bring to the table, depending on their upbringing or their experience with, stock trading or how they were raised by their parents and what their parents taught them about money and the significance of money in their life, or maybe not. So everybody brings these different biases into the table, and that's really what Coach was doing was really studying and getting down to the nitty gritty on the decisions that people make, whether you're on a team or whether you're investing in the market. And our good partners over at Capital Group will also be chiming in with some of their partners that they have and who are some notable psychologists as well. So looking forward to that. Back to you, Coach.
Great job at putting UBS and UCLA basketball together, Maria. You're really connecting the dots. This story to me is the culmination of being cool, knowledgeable, observing, open-minded, and learning. That's a picture of Bill Walton, greatest player in college basketball, national champion, unbelievable. And this is right before he's going to get arrested and thrown in jail for laying down on Wilshire Boulevard in the middle of Los Angeles protesting the Vietnam War. Next, John Wooden has to go to the jail, bail him out, and drive Bill Walton home from jail. And the conversation that Coach Wooden has with Bill about how to be more alert on the drive home is a real testimony to demonstrating how to work great with other people. Coach?
You have to be aware of all these problems of society and that particular area and be cognizant of them. The biggest problem of an individual that I had during those tumultuous times was Bill Walton. And yet, when he came on the practice floor, you never could have any more perfect person. He worked hard on time, never a problem, great, unselfish, worked as hard as anybody. And you would think a superstar might be given some leeway to do it. No, not with him. He never knew it anyway. And but when he's taken over the administration building with a bunch of others, when he's lying down on Wilson Boulevard, stopping traffic, when I have to bail him out of jail, things like that, when he's interrupting classes, getting petitions signed and all those things, those are things. But he has a right to his political beliefs. I can't. But I might believe in some of the things that he believed in, but I can't. I think when you, everybody has a right to protest. All of you, you have a right to protest. But I think when you, in your protest, you deny others their rights, I think that's wrong. And that's what I tried to get across to him. When he lay down on Wilson Boulevard and stopped traffic, let's assume, as I talked to him afterwards, what if there's an ambulance in that line of traffic that was rushing somebody to the hospital? Might not get there in time, might cost a life. Did you ever think about that? No, I didn't think about it. Don't you think you should? Well, maybe I should, but I didn't. But I think when they take over the administration building, I said, don't you think people had work to do and should demand them the things? Think about that. But they have a right, and I believe in the right to protest. I believe in protesting, absolutely. And but don't deny others their rights. That's what I'm against. That's just my feeling. You may all disagree with me, and that's your right to. It will be a very dull, monotonous world if we all agreed on things, on everything.
I love that. And you know what? Since it's a free country, free speech, I absolutely agree with Wooden. You have every right to protest, but don't deny others their rights, okay? So we need more of that. We need more Woodens out there preaching that. But no, Wooden really teaches Walton how to be cool, right? That knowledge, observe, being open-minded, and learn. And what that all comes down to is really seeing the consequences of our actions as well as decisions. You know, again, circling back, taking the blinders off and of our own narrow focus or opinion or stance, and really seeing the bigger picture of our actions and also the bigger impact that we may be making, not only, you know, to those around us, but the bigger picture and to those unintended consequences, right? That we have not thought of. So really nice video clip there, Coach. Thanks for sharing that with us. Back to you.
Maria, it's a great job of describing alertness, seeing the consequences. Now, the most important person you coach is yourself. The most important person you observe is yourself. Top left-hand corner in red, self-alertness. If you're going to be cool, you have to have a knowledge of yourself. The first box on the top, observe your emotions. When you're upset about something, when you're frustrated, when you're angry, when you're boiling over inside, step outside of yourself and look back at your emotions and determine whether they're going to be productive. Next, that other person is talking away and you don't like what they're saying. Are you being open-minded? Is there some value in what they have to say? And lastly, in that conversation, are you trying to learn the other person's point of view, or are you just simply trying to show how smart you are? Are you just having a discussion, or are you having a dialogue, right? You got to be learning from that other person all the time. We got the 3 areas: self-alertness. Have self-alertness about your technical knowledge, about your ability to recruit, about how you're working with people. And Coach Wooden also made the point that your job as a leader is to create a team of people that are all alert. And when everybody's alert and open-minded, man, you can get great results. Lastly, don't be a fixer for your children, for the people that you work with. If you're always fixing things for them, whether it's with a sports coach or getting them into a school or fixing for some things for somebody at work, they're never going to develop their own cool. They got to develop their own foundation themselves, their own knowledge, their own observations, their own open-mindedness, their own ability to learn. Otherwise, they're not going to have a happy life in the long run. Takes us all the way back to the beginning with the quote from Lincoln: the worst thing you can do for those that you love are things they could and should do for themselves. Don't be a fixer. We have a great list of habits for you to evaluate and decide what you want to work on. I love DM down there in the middle, being when you're upset, stepping outside of yourself and evaluating your emotions. I started doing that myself as a result of putting this together, and man, it's a great tool. And then you're going to pick one thing out that you want to use, that you want to work on. And I picked out this idea of being aware of constantly studying other ideas on an ongoing basis. We got a great list of quotes. Number 83 was one of Coach's favorites. It's what you learn after you know it all that counts. Certainly his life showed that. And I chose this idea of, again, observing constantly, staying open-minded, and be eager to learn and improve. I hope that you are getting the time to pick out a habit to work on each month, just a little bit at a time, and you're picking out a quote. And if you've just been doing this, there's 7 things that you'd be doing better than you were doing when we started. That's my whole mission, is to create a takeaway. Keep working on it. Big time giveaway. I've got one more autographed poster. John Wooden's opening of the Nell and John Wooden Court at Pauley Pavilion. Beautiful poster signed by John Wooden. And the question is, where was John Wooden coaching when he started that annual process of studying a basketball topic? Contact Maria and we'll see who gets that great poster. You've got, in terms of learning, go to the leadership library, UPS 123. There's 519 issues. They're searchable by topic. The content is waiting for you. Please take advantage of it. It's an easy way to become a lifelong learner. And you're going to get a great playbook, of course. And I'm here for you 24/7, eager to help you be cool. Back to you, Maria.
I love it. I don't think I can be as cool as you ever there, Coach, but I am trying, and I'm going to keep working on it. So thank you again for this, for a wonderful block on alertness here this month. Everybody, thank you all for joining us. Thank you to our sponsor, Capital Group, this month, and we really appreciate the partnership. Keep working on it. Oh, you want to tee us up for the next month here? Do we have
Oh
initiative?
man, I was hoping you'd ask me that question.
Okay.
Maria, the sequence of the pyramid of success is perfect because John Wooden he spent 14 years on this. Okay. So you know what the foundation gave us. We got that. I got goosebumps telling you.
Yeah.
The foundation, we already talked about what the foundation gave us. We know what self-control gave us. Now we got alertness. So now we have knowledge. So now we're good. The next thing is you got to do something with it. You got to take initiative. That's one of the blocks next month. And then once you take the action and it doesn't work, you're going to need intentness because you're going to have to keep going. Go at it a different way, up, around, under. So next month, we move on to initiative and intentness, which we need both of those to continue our journey to our personal best. Very excited about next month.
Love it. Thank you. Thank you. We'll see everybody next month. Have a great month, and we'll be back for another one. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Maria.
You got it.